Penguin Arts, I'm the Beardy Penguin, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program's Space Race. Today, we are launching a station to Minmus. Now, I actually upgraded the launch pad and the VAB, which cost a lot of money, thinking that I wouldn't be able to fit this into a level 2 launch, but with the power of nuclear engines, we were just about able to squidge it in to a level 2 launch. But now I have to actually look at the tons and part count really carefully to make sure that it fits in, because I don't get the giant warning since I can now launch level 3 vehicles. But it's fine. We were gonna have to upgrade it, you know, at some point anyway, so it's fine. So yeah, we've got a contract which wants us to go to Minmus, but we've also got a billion other contracts around Minmus. We've got space data around Minmus, surface data, plant a flag, all sorts of stuff. So we're sending off one pilot. And also we've got 2 scientists in the science modules, because I thought, well, if we're going to Minmus, we're going to get a lot of science, we might as well use the processing lab that's going to be part of the station to process it, which will produce us tons of science. So you just can't go wrong, can you? So there we go. Hopefully, well, this will be producing us quite a lot of science, since, well, the way mobile processing labs work is you put experiments, well, data into them. They process them to produce data, and this can be experiments that you've already done before. As long as they haven't been through the lab before, you still get data from them. And then you build up data, and then you can research that data, and you research it faster depending on where you are. So in Minmus orbit, we research it pretty fast, obviously much faster than you do in Kerbin orbit. And then after a while, it converts about, I think it's about 5 data to 1 science, and then it slowly converts the data into science, and then you can transmit that science back when you want to. So we can just leave this going, just leave it producing science for us, and come back to it and transmit science back to us every so often, which is great. And it's got tons and tons of life support, so it'll probably be up there for quite a while, but they'll be fine. Be fine. And we also named it Mir, mainly because, well, the second station was called Mir? I don't know. Well, one of the most famous Russian space stations was Mir, and we're going to Minmus, so I thought Minmus. I don't know, it's a terrible name. But it's going to take a while to get out to Minmus, so I thought, let's launch something else. So we don't have any capability for landing on Minmus, so I thought, you know what, let's send a plane with it. And I've just remembered, yes, we are in 1.1 if you didn't notice, because in 1.1 now you have wheel stress. So while taking off, some of my landing gear exploded, which was it's very helpful. Thanks a lot, game. You just can't take off. It took about 3 attempts to actually take off without the landing gear exploding, because as soon as I tried to pull up, the rear gear would explode, which isn't particularly helpful. But this is, I think, the 4th Quran we've sent up. Quran sounds like the religious book in Islam, doesn't it? But no, K-U-R-A-N, which is the Russian space shuttle, which never flew. And everyone was like, oh, it was a copy of the space shuttle, which it was. But the Ruskies actually came up with the concept for a reusable glider spacecrafty thing. They came up with the concept first, actually. And then the Americans were like, haha, we'll use that, and we'll build the space shuttle. And then the Ruskies were like, well, snap, you stole our ideas. And then they kind of copied it, and then the Soviet Union kind of collapsed. And then that was that. And well, I've just embraced the whole communist thing at this point. I just give up. So anyway... I've been speaking of stations, I had a really weird dream the other night. So I dreamt that I was sent up on a Soyuz, which launched from a car park for some reason, and I was sent up to the International Space Station. This gets weird, okay? And when I got to the International Space Station, I was given a tour by Scott Kelly, even though he's not even on the station anymore, and they'd painted over all the windows in the space station with little pictures of Earth. And I was like, Scott, why have you painted over all the windows? He's like, oh, the view's kind of distracting. What? Where did that dream even come from? This was after launching the Mir station. I went to bed and I had this weird dream about the International Space Station. And then after that, I went into the cupola, observation module. And instead of windows, they'd replaced them all with like TV screens, and they had like a simulation of Earth. They had what Earth should look like, but you couldn't actually see Earth. And I was like, why have you done that? And he said, because the view isn't actually that good, and the simulation looks better, and if the view looks better, they get more funding. So I don't know what dark corner of my mind that dream came from, but apparently they paint over the windows in the International Space Station in my mind. I don't know where that came from. Apparently, yeah, in Minmir, they're paint over the windows, paint little pictures of Kerbin on because the view distracts them apparently. But I don't know what that was about. That was really weird. Dreams are just so odd, aren't they? Sometimes, even if you haven't thought about something for ages, you just have a random dream about it, and it's just the oddest thing. But anyway, we didn't do the most efficient launch with this Kuran, so we were very, very skint on fuel. Thankfully, the Minmus station has got loads of fuel, so once it gets out to Minmus, I decided that we can actually refuel it. And yeah, the fuel's actually draining properly now in 1.1, so I guess thank you to 1.1, because we've traded out the outer engine. No, this is not on this one. It's on the next one. Yeah, we've still got 4 Sabre engines, but on the next Kuran that we launch, I switched out the outer engines for turbojets because they're way cheaper than Sabre engines, and also they're more efficient than Sabre engines. And I only ever use 2 Sabre engines when I go into rocket mode anyway. So I thought, well, there's no point having 4 Sabres. You might as well have 2 Sabres and 2 turbojets just to give you that extra kick while you're still inside the atmosphere. So we did 2 little passes because it was taking quite a while to get out to Minmus, and it's more efficient if you go around and do multiple passes like that. And we're just about trying to get enough science to unlock the large docking nodes, mainly because we've got a Dres window soon, and we haven't really got any other windows after that for quite a long time. So I really would like to send a manned mission to Dres, and that's going to need to be assembled in orbit, and I'd like to stop it wobbling all over the place, so I'd very much like to have those large docking adapters, and for that we need about 850 science, so that's why we're doing all of these sorts of missions. This was just completely unmanned. As you see, I've actually got the nose cone now, so I don't need to have a cockpit on it. The other one had a cockpit because, well, I was sending it to Minmus with the station to be used as a little lander. And this was just quite a simple mission. We had a couple of science data around the moon things, and we had a contract to put a satellite around the moon in a specific orbit, which paid about 200,000 funds. So it paid for the launch, and I thought, oh, why not? We just get a little bit of science, a little bit of money, and it'll be fine. So this one is literally just we're not launching a satellite from it. I don't even know why the previous Kuran. Well, I guess the previous Kurans were all manned, whereas now we have them unmanned after that poor disaster with Valentina suffocating, very unfortunately. This launch was way better. We actually did it. I don't know, sometimes my launches are good, sometimes my launches are bad. It just depends what day it is. So this one had tons of spare fuel, but it was going like half the distance, so I don't know. So we had lots and lots of room to maneuver, and yeah, so it's just putting a satellite in a specific orbit, and that basically pays for our contract. I could probably bring it back. Now think about it, it's still in orbit. I think it's still got enough fuel. I probably could actually bring it back to Kerbin and recover it. That might be something I do next time. I don't know, we'll see, because I guess, yeah, it still was like 60,000 funds, so I don't know. That's something to do. Now anyway, something I've been thinking about recently. Now, does this just happen to me, or does it happen to everybody? Are you just walking along or thinking about something, and just suddenly, just out of nowhere, just like that, you think, whoa, the universe exists? Okay, so that sounds really weird, but is it like you have like a sudden moment of clarity, and you're just suddenly like, you just out of nowhere, you suddenly think, why am I here? What is the universe? Why does everything exist? What? Like you think suddenly, oh, my brain is just a load of chemical reactions. I'm not really here. My eyes is just electrical impulses. Why does the universe? What is life? And then suddenly, just as soon as it starts, you just continue with whatever you're doing. Does that just happen to me, or does that happen to everybody? Because I've been having them a lot recently, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's just me going mad, or or whether I'm known. Is it a sign I'm intelligent or something? I don't know. Is it just me? Because I feel like it's probably just me. But please do tell me in the comments. Do you have those kind of things? That's. I bet like nobody ever has anything like that, and everyone's just like, Beardy, you're going insane. But I don't know. I just feel like asking. I mean, this series is kind of like my version of Tape City Skylines. You know, I just use it to to just talk about things. It's kind of like a podcast over a bit of fast-forwarded gameplay of KSP with a bit of political slander thrown in here and there. Now, maybe I shouldn't have gone for the communist route. I mean, well, I didn't choose to be communist. I mean, Tape at the beginning of the series were like, okay, let's keep political slander out of it. Let's be rival space companies, private space companies. Let's try not to get all political. And within about 30 seconds, within about like the first episode, we immediately devolve back into political slander again. It's too fun to it's too much fun to just slander each other all the time. But yeah, I mean, if I had the choice, I would have gone for America, because then I could just be spouting like really stupid anti-communist quotes all the time. Kind of like Liberty Prime in Fallout. If you've ever played Fallout 3 or Fallout 4, you know Liberty Prime, the giant robot, and he just spouts anti-communist slogans just every 30 seconds. Like, democracy is truth, communism is death, communism is a lie, death is a preferable alternative to communism. I don't know, I love Liberty Prime, it's just such a funny robot. I considered using some of his quotes and stuff in Collaborative Warfare, but well, I'm kind of allied with a communist in that, so it wouldn't really... Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't be too pleased about that. Speaking of Collaborative Warfare, in about 9 days, it is the 1-year anniversary of Collaborative Warfare. That's 1 year of turning an innocent space exploration game into into a terrible war zone, in which I think the death toll... I looked at the astronaut complex. The death toll now is 112 Kerbals. 112 Kerbals have died in the line of duty. I think about half of those are from my submarine, though, because you know my Poseidon Mark IIs, they can carry huge amounts of crew. I mean, I think about 20 crew on, and then Tape flies along and murders everyone. So, but I mean, damn, I think Tape figured out that's worse than the worst year for the British in Afghanistan, and that's only in like 90 days. We're only about 90 days in on Kerbal time, so that's pretty interesting. But anyway, so we got that into orbit, and now we are going back to the moon, because I said we need some science, and I thought, we'll just do a moon mission, because it's just easy science, really, isn't it? And we're not really reusing anything, because we can't really afford the weight of parachutes and landing. Yeah, we don't have enough fuel in order to land things, have a powered landing and all that, like Tape likes to do, because he's basically Tape-X, let's be honest. And this one we don't have a rover with us, because I thought, let's just play it a little more safe, because we always cut the fuel really, really fine. So I just wanted to leave some room for mistakes and stuff, and so yeah, we didn't take the rover with us. We're just quite a small, compact lander, just because we need science, and that's just it, really. I got rid of the service bay and just put the science things on the sides. It doesn't look as good, but it's much lighter, and I just thought, yeah, it's fine. We don't need a service bay. Service bays are for nerds, bro. Don't need service bays anymore. Jeez. Do it like we did in the old days. Just bolt the scientific instruments into the side. Even though surely you could just put them in the crew cabin, but it makes too much sense. It makes way too much sense. But yeah, so it is all just about getting enough science to get those docking adapters so we can go to Dres. And a lot of you are probably wondering, like, why Dres? It's just because we haven't got any other windows apart from Moho for a long time afterwards. So we do want to have some kind of manned mission on its way. And really, Moho is so much more difficult to get to than Dres. We're sending a mission to Dres. Although we're only sending one person, because I would have to have... I think at the moment I can do it. I can build it in 2 launches. But if I had to send up multiple people... then I would have to send 3 launches for the extra crew capacity and the extra life support, and nobody's got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. And so yeah, I just thought, budget cuts, you know, we can send one person on their own, they'll probably be fine. Yeah, they'll probably be fine. Anyway, at this point I was like, okay, well, let's land in the far side crater, and then I thought, well, Tape's got a flag there, and then I was just like, how much will it annoy Tape if I defile his flag? I was like, you know, if I landed on Tape's flag and I just... Oh, there's a perfect landing there, but I was so proud of that landing. Just slowed down in time. So efficient. But I thought, if I took down Tape's flag and then I put down my own flag in its place, would Tape be really annoyed? And I thought, yeah, he'd probably have quite a funny reaction. So let's do that. That'll be funny. Let's do it for shits and giggles. So... That's what I did. I thought, okay, let's just land it next to Tape's flag, and let's go take it down. Let's defile a future historical site for his space agency. Are we nations, or are we just space? I don't even know anymore. I'm kind of embraced the whole communist thing, so I guess we're nations. So let's just defile it. Put down our own flag. That's what you get, Tape. I can't wait to see his reaction for that. I haven't told him yet, so they'll find out in this video, I guess. He'll probably just, he's doing his collaborative warfare turn at the moment, so he'll probably, when he finds out, just exercise his anger on my Kerbals in collaborative warfare. But there we go. He's not going to be a happy bunny when he finds out that I've taken down his flag. Like, we're not doing any corporate espionage or anything in this series. It's like, it's not collaborative warfare in career mode, but I don't know, I just couldn't resist the temptation. I was just like, we're landing near his flag. Oh, it'll be funny. Let's just let's just do it. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm really not sorry at all. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Yes, sending one person to Trez. So yeah, we are sending one person to Trez, as I said, because budget reasons. And I don't know. It's not going to be a one-way mission though. It is going to be a return mission. But then, you know, you've got companies like Mars One and stuff, which are trying to send people on a one-way mission to Mars. I mean, we're sending, obviously, they're coming back, preferably. They are returning, but I don't know. Like, if it's something that had like 300,000 volunteers, was it Mars One that had the 300,000 volunteers to go on a one-way trip to Mars? Something like that. That's just insane. Like. Like, I get that you're part of history and everything, but would any of you want to go on a one-way mission to Mars? Like, you get there, they don't leave you to suffocate, but you live out your life there. You start a colony, but you don't come back. We got a lot of science from that, as you see. So we're just shy of unlocking that. So we need some more science, and even though we launched it second, the Quran actually arrives first. And yeah, it needs refueling. It's so low on fuel. But yeah, you guys tell me, would you go on a one-way mission to Mars? I mean, with other people, you're not on your own. I don't know, would you go on your own? I don't know. Well, the person we're sending is going on their own, but I think we just picked out the most autistic person in our entire space program, so it's just going to be like heaven for them to be alone for like a 3-year round trip to Dres. But anyway, so I think we just had enough fuel for that to get into a really, really elliptical orbit. So I brought the station, which has got tons of delta V, into the same inclination, and then what we did is we just pulled it into an orbit, and we just ran out of fuel just then. Ooh, that was cut very fine. So we just corrected our inclination, and I decided to go for a docking with the station. I mean, usually you dock things with a station, you don't dock a station with a thing, but it's fine, nobody. Yeah, so usually you don't do this, but it's a really maneuverable station. It technically does count as a station, even though it's kind of just a spaceship with a giant processing module stuck onto it. Thank goodness we didn't have to carry like 4,000 units of fuel. This is a much better contract than our Kerbin station contract, which is very nice. And it does pay a lot, and it means we don't have to collaborate with those capitalist pigs. The political slander is just on another level. So there we go, we're just approaching in at the Quran 4, which is completely out of fuel, and thankfully, yeah, I did put a docking port onto it so we can refuel it, which is all very nice. And also, we didn't put any scientific instruments onto the actual Minmus station, so once we docked, I actually did loads of scientific experiments, which we've already done before, but we still get data from them for the lab, which can then produce science. So as I said, even though we don't get any new science from those experiments, we still produce data for the lab to store and then do research. So we just get one of our scientists out to go reset all the experiments and then get into the cockpit so they can fly, and then we get the pilot out of the cockpit there and put him into the Quran. This means that then the pilot can descend to the surface and the other guys can do their research in orbit in the meantime. But we did need someone, to be piloting, so we could put the Quran and Minmir into lower orbits, and very polar orbits. So that means we can land wherever we want. And I thought, okay, so we want to land on the equator, because I thought, sorry, I thought we would have enough delta V to land, take off, and then rescue the 2 people that are currently stuck in equatorial orbit around Minmus. That was what I originally thought we would do. I thought, okay, we can take off into equatorial orbit and do a plane change and bring everybody onto the station, because the more the merrier, I guess. And here I thought, okay, we'll land on this giant mountain. because we haven't actually landed in the Highlands before, and even though we are just coming down to get data, we might as well get a lot of science while we're down here as well. So there we go, we're just bringing it down, and we are landing in the darkness, which isn't particularly helpful. And I only just about did this landing. I did it just in time. Another one of my very efficient suicide burns, just like the landing on the moon. So you see, we just slowed down in time, but we did kind of hit ourselves and blow off like half of our right wing and a load of landing gear, which is not particularly helpful. Now, I think I should note around now, I do actually have a contract to extract 600 units of ore from the surface of Minmus, but there isn't enough ore in the current location we're at, so I thought, okay, that's fine. We'll just take all of our scientific data, we'll plant a flag, which was another contract, which we do run over in a second anyway, but it's fine, it's fine. So we plant a flag, do all of our scientific instruments, and I thought, okay, well, we've still got quite a bit of fuel, so at this point I kind of given up on returning back up into orbit because because of how badly damaged the spacecraft now was. But I thought, okay, we'll go for a drive and see if we can find some places where there is ore, because although I've unlocked the drills, I haven't actually unlocked the scanners, so we just have to run around and look for it manually. Unfortunately, I blew off the engine, so yeah, any hopes of returning back to orbit with this spacecraft were pretty much destroyed at that moment. But I thought, okay, we'll just slide down the hill and see if we can find any places in which there are lovely spots of beautiful ore for us to mine, and it's such a good paying contract. I mean, we had another contract to like mine 2,000 units of ore on the moon and bring it back. I was like, whoa, hold your horses. Hold your horses on that one. But this one we don't actually have to bring the ore back, we just have to mine 600 units of it. And I thought, oh, that'll be easy, that'll be fine. But when you land in an area as ore deficient as this, it's really not particularly easy. We did find a little bit with some ore, but in the end, I thought, okay, the amount of ore we're getting is so minuscule. It's going to take like 300 years to mine 600 units of it. And also, the spacecraft can't really return back to orbit. So I was like, what are we going to do about this? So, thankfully, we are on Minmus. And the beautiful thing about Minmus is that you can actually get into orbit with a Kerbal's EVA pack. So, we just took out all of the data from all the scientific instruments, which meant that we didn't have to bring it all the way back up to orbit. You just take the data out, and as as Minmere Station came over, we just used our EVA pack to get up into orbit. I think this is probably our new daredevil pilot in the space program, because yeah, he's literally going into orbit and jumping onto a station with his EVA pack. So yeah, definitely the longest and riskiest spacewalk we've ever done in the space program. But yeah, it was actually really easy. Just jump straight up into orbit and bring up a hell of a lot of science for us to study. So we just get in, we just process all of that, and we've actually got more data than we can actually store. So we're going to store those experiments in the meantime while they're processing, and we're actually producing 10 science a day. So I just fast forwarded to the end of our turn, day 330, and we produced 113 science. Hell yeah! And we've still got tons of data to work through, because this is going to be a science producing machine. So we'll come back to it in future and hopefully get a little more science. But that has been the end of my turn, and thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will see you all next time.